How would I build a Telegram community from scratch if I had to start today? Telegram has been around for years, but it's still super popular, especially with the crypto community. It may be daunting to start a community from scratch, but the good news is you don't even need money to do it. You need patience and dedication. As an experienced community manager who has built many communities from scratch, I can tell you that there are some key steps you'll want to consider to ensure people are engaged and getting value from being a part of your community. So if I had to start a community using Telegram today, here's the steps that I would use to get started. Before we start on the steps, I do want to preempt this with, I am assuming that Telegram is the appropriate platform for us, and let's get started. All right, so step one, I would build my network. I would get really vocal on Twitter and other appropriate social media accounts. Wherever your community members are hanging out, I would get vocal there. I would DM people that are ahead of the curve than me. If you need to build your confidence reaching out to people, that's fine, but I would really encourage you to work on that and just practice, and you'll feel more confident over time. But what you're really trying to do here in this step is build your network of key people in the industry or whatever area your community exists in. Think of this as long-term relationship building. So don't push any sales talk. Let them know what you're generally working on and include your higher purpose. It's really, really important here. Ask them a specific question after researching them further. Like, really put in the work here to get to know them as people and understand what their passions are, motivations, etc., just even through their own social profiles. If you go above and beyond, I promise you their DM from you is going to sit above, well ahead of the rest, because most people's inboxes are full of DMs that are usually either a sales pitch or they're an ask. They're hyper-focused on short-term gains for themselves. So the way that I would look to stand out is to completely flip that. Ask them what challenges they currently face, really get to know them as people, and don't do it in a corny way. Do it in a genuine curiosity type of way. You're trying to get to know them as a person and just generally be helpful as well, rather than asking them for anything at this point. Now, I would go hard at this for at least 1 month. And if I had team members, I would ask them to do the same. I would keep notes on everybody that I reached out to, that I spoke to, and also take notes on the value that these people could potentially bring your community one day, whether that be as an active member of the community, or perhaps they're able to provide value to the members in future. Things like ask me anythings or office hours or hosting a session, etc. Step two. Now, during this network building time, I'd also be getting super clear about the role of the community in serving my own needs. What am I actually looking to achieve here? Am I launching a new brand where I need X number of sales to keep afloat? Or am I okay with funding for a while, but really need help with fine-tuning the product so that later down the track, we can spend a lot on marketing with more confidence that the market will buy whatever it is that we're selling? And product could be anything, by the way. It could be your crypto. I'm keeping it broad here because I know there's a lot of people that are creating different types of communities. Maybe you have a broader mission of changing the world, and that's awesome. And you want the community to help you actually make that happen. So you want this to be a community-led effort. Whatever it is, just make sure that you're super clear what is the purpose here. Like, what are you trying to achieve by building a community? And be honest about that. The long-term community strategy will be very much based on these goals. Step three. So in steps 1 and 2, I've been getting really clear about my own goals, as well as getting to know other people through my network and potential community members and their needs. So in step 3, I'm going to be focusing on delivering as much value to this potential community or the future community as possible. So I'm starting to think about this even before starting up the Telegram group. say after my discussions through the network building, I realized that lots of people really want to get involved with a project that is not about greed and short-term gains, but the longer-term vision of really having an impact on X in the world. So what I would do is I'd actually focus on creating content around this. How does my project or my community, how does that help them achieve their goals or focus on meeting the challenges that they face, whether it's finding other people that they're working on, impact projects, etc. The key with this step is, how am I going to add value to the future community members that I add into the community? And in this step, I am building that out. I'm going to be making this amazing so that when people join the community, they don't know what's hit them. Step 4, create the Telegram link, create an initial post that is completely on the money with meeting the motivations of your future community members. Remember, you've had a lot of discussions with these people, so you should be really clear about how you can motivate them. Be clear on the purpose of why the community that you're building exists, and keep it short. Like, it should actually be really, really clear. It should be like one sentence max. You should be pinning this to the channel along with house rules. So this should always be visible for anybody that joins the community in future. They should know exactly what this community is about and how to participate, and the appropriate behavior that's accepted. The house rules, I'd always recommend, are very closely tied in with the mission as well. So for instance, if you're looking for creating a diverse, open group, then make sure that your house rules address that and make sure that you're creating whatever it is and adding to the purpose. I'd also make sure I have a spam bot installed, like Combot. Combot's amazing. I'd also ensure that I had abilities to have the group moderated at all times, whether this is via team members or hiring mods. If it's global, you really have to start thinking through this. This is a real-time chat platform. You've got to make sure that you're covered, because you will get spammers and scammers and just negative stuff that happens, and you want to make sure that you've got that under control. I invite all my contacts that I've made through step 1 to the group, and I do that in a personalized DM. This is going to feel really heavy lifting, I know, and it probably feels like, well, this isn't that scalable. But trust me, it's so worth the time to actually personally DM people, be super specific as to why you think they would enjoy being a part of the new community. Talk through the value that it will bring to them, and vice versa. If there's any value that they could bring to other people in the group, mention that as well. If they have hesitations about anything, I'd answer it, but I definitely wouldn't be pushing them to join the group. You should just be cool about it. Tell them about the amazing potential with this group. Leave it at that. If they are not interested in joining, you can always develop this relationship over time and give them a sense of FOMO later on when your community is actually active and building. You're going to have people in different stages. You'll have people that want to join only when things are going on, and you're going to have people that want to join when something's new and it's exciting and it has potential. So just keep that in mind. There are different people that are at different journeys, different stages that they want to be involved in, and it's a long-term game that you're playing here. Step 5, add so much value to the community that it's not even funny. So this is when I've spoken in previous steps about thinking through what is that value add that you're going to be providing them. In this step, it's really about executing and doing that. Don't ask for too much from your members yet. I wouldn't be asking them for too many favors. In the pinned message, I would add an invite link for people to invite their friends, but I wouldn't actually be pushing this straight away, because you haven't really proven to them the value and the worth of the community yet. So I would rather prove that to them and them naturally invite people. Like, the multiplier effect will happen, but you don't need to push it. I'd actually be pushing more for value add and maximizing that first, and then focus on multiplying your members later on. And to be honest, that can become quite an organic thing if you are truly offering value. Now, there is this issue where you may make assumptions as to what that value add is. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about truly providing value to people and not just assuming that they want an event or they want this or that. Make sure you're maximizing value based on real discussions that you've had with people and that you've been listening to what they're going through and trying to address their challenges and help them out. Also, try to ensure in this stage that you're avoiding burnout for your members. So Telegram is for real-time announcements, and it can feel like a lot. If there is a lot of conversation going on at the beginning, it can get quite overwhelming and people can just get really put off by that. And you may find that, a month later, people are just leaving because they're either overwhelmed, they have no idea how to keep up with things, or they found the next thing that is frankly like a little bit less chaotic and they find that it's just a nicer environment. So I'd be making sure that in the Telegram, I'm pinning messages and offering ways for the community to get important information in their own time via these pinned messages. So Telegram is just one platform for like the real-time connections and the immediate feedback and commentary, etc. But making sure that you've put everything in place so that if there is important information, it's not missed upon if somebody hasn't turned up for 24 hours of the day in your community. Be really mindful about that. Step 6, to encourage people to stick around, I'd make sure they knew who else was in the group. And this is the beauty of community. It's so powerful if you can start making connections between people in the group rather than thinking of this as a two-way communication or feedback loop from like yourself as the project or the team or the business and the community member. It should actually be community member to community member to community member. And also you're in that relationship in the middle. So that is truly powerful. You and the team have the power here. So as you've spent time getting to know all these people in step 1 through your networking building, this is where you've got to know people, but you've also got to know, okay, well, what are the potential connections here between people in the community? And do this all the time. Maybe in your community chat, you're posting saying, celebrating both Stephen and Anne today, who are both artists, and they've created the very first NFT collection. And then separately, you're DMing both Stephen and Anne, letting them know that you'd be happy to make an intro to each other, especially if they're looking for support. If they're going through the same sort of challenges and needs, be the connector for them and make that happen. That's how you're adding more value to members in the community, and they'll feel even more loyal to your community because you've just given them incredible value. Step 7, always respond to every single DM and question in the community, and always respond to feedback as well. Acknowledge it firstly. Even if you can't implement the feedback, let them know firstly that you've heard them, that you can't implement it, and this is the reason why. Like, be fully transparent. It's the best way forward here, and just be superhuman about it. Be apologetic, be humble, tell them that you've heard them. Acknowledgement is huge here. If they're providing you with any negative feedback or commentary and it's ruining their experience, empathize with them and make sure that they feel heard. A lot of the times people just want to be heard, and tell them that you're determined to help improve this experience. And if it's out of your control for whatever reason, explain why it's out of your control, and maybe have an open discussion as to, how can we improve this in the constraints that we're dealing with right now? Have an open conversation. They may actually enjoy being a part of that. And step 8, make it fun to be involved. Now, I know that not every community is meant to be a fun community. There are serious communities out there too, but you can still have fun with it. Be creative, create polls. You can customize stickers to solidify your brand. You can even customize chat backgrounds and notification sounds. You can get super creative with the polls that you create. Get up to speed with Telegram and everything that you can do with Telegram that you may not have thought about, but work out how you can incorporate your community branding and vibe in general with what Telegram has to offer. They have an amazing blog, so I'd recommend reading that. You can create video stickers and static stickers. And the best part about the stickers is that you can share that with them, and they can share that even to their broader network. So if you're talking about getting the word out there, about your community. Think of creative ways to do this as well. In crypto, there are other ways to engage. They created airdrops, etc. But I do think that if you can think outside the box and be creative with whatever the solution is, set yourself above what everybody else is doing and stay true to your own purpose and mission. I think that will go a long way. And my final step is I'd constantly be checking in with people and if I had a team, I'd be getting the team to do this as well. But just constantly having these human conversations, hearing how their experience has been in the community, if there's anything else that you can be doing. It's a constant iteration in community, and you're just trying to hear how people's experiences are, how you can improve it with new members that come in, trying to get them up the curve and feel like they're part of the community as well. Every action that I do will be around the greater purpose, why the community exists. I would constantly be mentioning the purpose, continuing to build long-term relationships with people, acknowledging that community is not a short-term game. And another great tip is to join other Telegram communities. Get inspired how they're engaging members. I don't recommend copying blatantly other communities. Like, you should still stay true to your own mission and brand, but you can always get inspiration from other communities. So you can probably tell with all these steps that I've mentioned, this is human relationship building. It doesn't sound scalable, but the multiplier effect, if you do it right, it will come into play. You can actually scale this up. You can build a team, repeat the steps that I've mentioned. It really requires people to care about other people. And I think that's the most important aspect. It's not short-term gains here. If you're looking to just sell, you're actually not building a community. You're just trying to build more customers. And that's not community building. That's something completely different. If you're building a Telegram community, if you've already started or if you haven't started yet and you still feel daunted, drop a comment below. Let me know what you're trying to build. I'd be happy to take a look, see if I can share some more advice. If you have a Discord community, I do have plenty of videos on Discord community building as well. In the next video, I am going to be covering more details around how to manage your Telegram community. So if you are focused on Telegram, then please make sure to like and subscribe so that you get notified on that future video. And I'll see you next time.